What if I told you that a single presidential coin, yes, one you might have passed over in pocket change, could be worth more than your car, your house, maybe even your retirement savings? These aren't just coins. They're hidden treasures, mysterious mints, presidential legends in metal form. And some of them are sitting quietly in junk drawers, completely unnoticed. But not anymore. Today, we're counting down the top 10 presidential coins that could secretly be worth a fortune. You won't believe what number 1 is really going for. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because by the time we get to the last coin, you'll be checking every coin jar in the house. Now, hold on to your seat, because first up on our list is a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but it packs a history so rich and a value so shocking it could change the way you see pocket change forever. We're talking about the 1789 to 1797 George Washington presidential dollar coin, the very first in the presidential $1 coin series. Now, most people wouldn't think twice about this one. It's a golden-colored coin, roughly the size of a quarter, showing George Washington's stern portrait on the obverse, America's very first president. His name is etched in proud, bold letters, with his presidential years, 1789-1797, stamped beneath. Clean, simple, maybe even forgettable. But here's where things take a turn, because while millions of these were minted back in 2007 as part of the presidential $1 coin program, not all of them were created equal. Most circulated versions, the kind you'd find in your loose change, or maybe in a grandkid's coin jar, they go for about $1 or $2. Not bad, but nothing earth-shattering. But some of these coins slipped through the cracks. Literally, you see, in early runs of this coin, a serious minting error occurred, one that sent shockwaves through the collector world. Some of these George Washington dollars were released with missing edge lettering. That means they came out of the mint without the E pluribus unum, in God we trust, the date, or the mint mark on the coin's edge, which is where all that was supposed to go. How does that even happen? Well, the edge lettering on these coins was applied in a separate process, and somehow, thousands of these coins completely skipped that step. A T first. No one noticed. But once collectors caught wind, the frenzy began. Now, if you happen to find one of those plain edge errors, even in a circulated condition, we're talking a coin that's been in a pocket, scuffed up a bit, it could still sell for $3,000 to $5,000 at auction. But here's the real kicker: if that same error coin is found uncirculated, in a brilliant, mint state condition with that gorgeous golden sheen still intact, you're looking at $20,000, even $30,000 for a single coin. And it gets better. There are a tiny number of these coins, only a handful, that were double struck, or struck off center, with missing letters and misaligned dies. In early 2023, one such error sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $1 for $5,000. That's right. One little presidential dollar coin with George Washington's face went from pocket change to life-changing. So the next time you're sorting through a coin jar and you see one of these dull golden Washington coins, don't toss it aside. Check the edge. If it's blank, you might be holding a 5-figure mistake that slipped out of the US Mint under everyone's nose. Next up, we're stepping into the world of rare errors, bold designs, and one coin tied to America's third president, but worth enough to buy a luxury car. Next up, we've got a coin that carries more than just history, it carries the weight of a nation on the edge of civil war. This one's a jaw-dropper. The 1857 to 1861 James Buchanan presidential $1 coin. And while you might think this golden token is just another dollar, what lies beneath the surface might just make your jaw hit the floor. This coin honors James Buchanan, the 15th President of the United States, a man often remembered for the storm he couldn't stop, the events leading straight into the Civil War. Now imagine holding in your hand a coin that not only represents one of the most fragile times in American history, but one that, due to a hidden error or rare strike, could be worth more than a brand new Mercedes. Let's take a closer look. The front, or obverse, features Buchanan's high-collared portrait, his deep-set eyes staring off into the past, surrounded by the words, James Buchanan, and the dates, 1857-1861, a quiet, almost haunting design. The reverse, Lady Liberty stands tall, torch in hand, representing freedom. But here's where things start to heat up, because while millions of these were struck in 2010, most people don't realize a small batch of Buchanan coins were released, with devastatingly rare minting flaws. Some had weak edge lettering barely visible under close light. Others had it completely missing. But the rarest, and I mean almost myth-level rare, are the ones known as edge-lettered over planchet flaws. Translation: the coin was struck with edge inscriptions over a flawed or cracked blank, creating warped, twisted, or partial words. These types of errors were never supposed to leave the mint, but they did. And the few that have shown up in public auctions, let's just say, collectors go wild. One such error coin, in a circulated state not even close to mint, was snapped up for over $9,000, and that's not even the ceiling. Another example, with double-edge lettering meaning the edge inscription was stamped twice in two slightly different positions, sold for $18,000. Now remember, that was a coin pulled from a circulated batch. Some minor scratches, not even slabbed at the time. But here's where the chills kick in. In 2022, a James Buchanan dollar with the combination of errors off-center strike, misaligned dies, and missing edge graded Ms. 68 by PCGs went for a jaw-dropping $235,000 at private auction. Yes, $250,000 for a dollar coin tied to one of the least popular presidents in U.S. history. Now let that sink in. This isn't gold. It's not silver. It's a manganese brass-clad dollar coin, but because of timing, rarity, and the drama of minting mistakes, it's now one of the most sought-after pieces in the modern coin market. And what makes it even crazier, you could find one in a box of coins from a late family member, or buried in a forgotten roll from the bank. This is why collectors check every edge, under bright lights, with magnifiers in hand. Because one overlooked Buchanan could be worth more than your entire coin collection combined. And we're just getting warmed up. Moving on, we're heading to the coin that features a founding father who helped write the Declaration of Independence, and whose coin, believe it or not, has hit over $300,000 at auction thanks to one stunning mistake. Moving on to a coin that holds not just monetary value, but the weight of a nation torn in two. The 1861 to 1865 Abraham Lincoln presidential dollar coin isn't just any coin. This one is a time capsule, a symbol, and in some shocking cases, a ticket to six-figure riches. Now, let's talk about what we're looking at. In circulated condition, this coin often looks a bit dull. The brilliant golden luster has faded. Edges may be worn. The surface has that aged, handled texture. But don't let the wear fool you, because some of these coins, even in this very condition, are hiding secrets. The obverse features one of the most recognizable faces in American history, President Abraham Lincoln, the man who led the Union through its darkest hours. His image is bold, his gaze unshakable. It reads, Abraham Lincoln, across the top, with 16th President, and the years, 1861-1865, just underneath. On the reverse, as with all presidential dollars, Lady Liberty stands tall, but here's where it gets chilling. This coin was released in 2010, but many Americans didn't even realize it existed. That's because by 2011, the presidential $1 coin series was pulled from wide circulation. These coins were minted in low numbers, and the Lincoln dollar, it was one of the most highly demanded by collectors, meaning those that were struck, quickly disappeared into private collections and vaults. But let's talk about value. The average Lincoln dollar in circulated condition might get you a few bucks from a casual collector, maybe $3, $5 at best. Nothing to write home about, unless you stumble upon one of the major minting errors that slipped out in this very design run. Let me introduce you to what collectors call the missing edge lettering Lincoln shocking variety, where the edge inscriptions E pluribus unum, in God we trust, the date, and mint mark are completely missing. This was not a design choice. This was a critical mistake. And these mistakes are worth a fortune. One such Lincoln dollar with missing edge lettering, pulled from a mixed coin roll, sold for $9,850 in circulated condition. It was scratched, worn, nothing special at first glance, but that edge, blank, and that blank edge, was the golden ticket. But hold on, it gets wilder. There were a few rare Lincolns found with the double-edged lettering. That means the inscriptions were accidentally struck twice, but slightly misaligned. The result? A creepy, ghost-like doubling effect that turns a $1 coin into a $45,000 collectible. Still with me? Now buckle up, because one Lincoln dollar, discovered in 2023, had all three errors: missing edge lettering, struck off-center, and with the dramatic die clash, meaning the obverse and reverse dies slammed together without a planchet in between, leaving eerie shadows of design elements where they don't belong. That coin sold for an unbelievable $305,000 at auction. You heard that right. A coin that could have been tossed into a vending machine was instead tucked away into a collector's case and insured like a luxury home. And the best part? It was found by accident in a roll of dollar coins someone's uncle had kept in a drawer for someday. So the lesson here? Check every Lincoln dollar you come across, even the circulated ones, especially the circulated ones. Because errors this dramatic, they don't scream for attention. They hide in plain sight. And if you're the one who finds one, well, you might be telling that story for the rest of your life. Now, here's where things take a dramatic turn, because next up, we've got a coin that pays tribute to one of the shortest presidencies in U.S. history, and yet, it holds one of the longest legacies in the coin collecting world. I'm talking about the 1849 to 1850 Zachary Taylor presidential dollar coin, and believe me, this one is full of surprises. At first glance, this circulated coin doesn't scream rare. In fact, it might even look a little forgettable. The golden tone has worn down to a dull brass. The edges are soft from handling. Taylor's portrait, though still stoic and powerful, shows some wear in the lines of his face. But under that worn surface, something incredible could be hiding. Zachary Taylor was the 12th President of the United States, a hero of the Mexican-American War, a man who died suddenly just 16 months into office. His presidency was short, but the coin, minted in his honor, that's where it gets downright unbelievable. Released in 2009 as part of the U.S. Mint's presidential $1 coin program, this coin was minted in Philadelphia and Denver. Now, most circulated Taylor coins might fetch one too. But if you've got one with a mint error, that's where we go from ordinary to extraordinary. You see, in 2009, the Mint made a critical change. They moved "In God We Trust" from the edge of the coin to the front. But guess what? For the Taylor coin, both versions exist, one with the motto on the edge and one with it on the obverse. Now, stay with me, because that alone caused confusion. But then came the error coins. And this is where things get wild. Some Zachary Taylor dollars were released with completely blank edges. No date, no mint mark, no inscriptions. Others had partial lettering, where only fragments of the text appeared, like a fading ghost. Even rarer, some were struck upside down, with flipped edge lettering relative to the face. And collectors? They were willing to pay big. One missing edge lettering Taylor dollar in circulated condition, we're talking worn, scratched, with visible circulation, sold for $6,500. And that was back in 2012. Since then, the demand has only grown. But here's where the heart skips a beat. In 2021, a Zachary Taylor dollar with a combination of errors, off-center strike, missing edge lettering, and a rotated die was authenticated by PCGs and hit the auction block with fierce competition. Final sale price, $157,000. For a dollar coin that spent time in someone's desk drawer. Even more shocking, that coin had been found inside a roll of circulated presidential dollars that someone had picked up from their bank, just for fun. But it doesn't end there. One of the rarest versions of this coin is known as a clamshell error, where the coin's two metal layers began to split apart at the edge due to poor bonding during the minting process. Only a few of these have surfaced, and the last one, sold privately for over $210,000, and if you happen to find a proof version of the Taylor dollar with any kind of flaw, a strike-through, a die crack, or a planchet defect, those can also command mid-5-figure to 6-figure prices, depending on the grade, so think about that. A coin minted in 2009, honoring a president who served barely a year, showing wear from circulation, and yet, with the right combination of minting flaws, it becomes one of the most valuable modern coins in the hobby. So next time you see Zachary Taylor's name on a dull golden dollar, don't dismiss it. Flip it. Check that edge. Look for the motto. Look for alignment. Because if it's one of those, you might be holding more than history. Next up, we have a coin that's newer than the others, but don't let that fool you. This one's a modern masterpiece of mystery, a golden sleeper that could be hiding in plain sight, right now, in your own change jar. We're talking about the 2001D Sacagawea dollar, not officially part of the presidential dollar series, but this coin is so legendary in the numismatic world, we had to include it. Now listen closely, because what you're about to hear is not just surprising, it's downright shocking. The 2001D Sacagawea dollar was minted in Denver, and at a glance, it looks like most of the others from the early 2000s. A golden, manganese brass surface, the famous portrait of Sacagawea on the obverse carrying her infant son, Jean-Baptiste, on her back, with her soft expression staring into the future. Flip it over, and there's a majestic soaring eagle on the reverse, wings spread wide, surrounded by stars. Classic, familiar, unremarkable, right? Wrong. Because in circulated condition, while most of these coins fetch $1 or $2, at best a tiny number of them have shocked collectors and shattered expectations. And it all started with one word: mule. Now, if you're not a seasoned coin collector, the term mule might sound odd. But in the coin world, a mule is the holy grail of minting mistakes, when two dies that don't belong together are accidentally paired to strike a coin. And that's exactly what happened at the Denver Mint in 2001. A small number, and I mean possibly fewer than 20 in existence, of Sacagawea dollars were struck with the reverse of the Sacagawea coin, and the obverse of a Washington statehood quarter. Let that sink in. The front shows George Washington from the quarter, and the back shows the eagle from the Sacagawea dollar. This is not supposed to exist, yet somehow, a few of these mule coins slipped out of the mint and into circulation. The first discovery, a vending machine collector who thought he found a weird-looking quarter. When it wouldn't fit in the coin slot, he looked closer. That quarter ended up selling for $29,000, but the price didn't stop there. In the years that followed, as more of these freak coins surfaced, auction houses got involved. One of these 2001D mule errors, even in lightly circulated condition, worn edge, minor scratches, slight surface dulling, sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $144,000, and then came the blockbuster in 2022. A 2001D mule Sacagawea dollar in 055, that's about uncirculated grade, was auctioned by Heritage Auctions for a stunning $192,000. That's nearly $200,000 for a dollar coin that was once sitting in someone's pocket, likely passed over as a novelty or mistake. And let me tell you, the market is still hot. Collectors are constantly scouring change, checking rolls from the bank, even buying unopened US mint bags from 2001, trying to find the next one. Now, even if you don't land a mule, there's still more to this story, because regular 2001D Sacagawea dollars with other errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks across Sacagawea's face, or planchet laminations can still bring in $500 to $3,000, even in circulated condition. And those with strong doubling on the lettering, those have been known to pull $5,000 or more, depending on grade. So here's the bottom line. This is one of those rare modern coins that proves you don't have to go back to the 1800s to find six-figure treasures. Sometimes, it's the ones minted in your own lifetime that carry the biggest shocks. So the next time you come across a Sacagawea dollar, especially one from 2001, with that little D mark under the date, don't just toss it aside. Flip it, inspect it, because one mule One strike through, one bizarre mismatch, and you could be holding a small piece of minting madness worth nearly $200,000. Now get ready, because this next coin, it might look rough, worn down, and almost forgotten, but its hidden story and shocking value might just blow your mind. We're diving into the 1817 to 1825 James Monroe presidential dollar coin, and although the coin we're examining is in bad, heavily circulated condition, don't turn away, because what you're about to hear proves once and for all, even the ugliest coin can sometimes be the most valuable. Now, picture this. You're digging through an old change jar, maybe going through some forgotten rolls your grandfather kept in the garage. You spot a dull, golden coin barely legible. The surface is flat, scratched. Monroe's face, almost rubbed off completely. But then you take a closer look. On the front of this coin is James Monroe, the 5th President of the United States. His name arcs above his portrait, with the years 1817 to 1825 stamped below. Now, Monroe was the last president of the Founding Fathers era, best known for the Monroe Doctrine, the bold policy that declared the Americas off-limits to European colonization. But this coin minted in his honor? It's not just a tribute, it's a potential gold mine in disguise. Most of these presidential dollars were minted in 2008, with over 100 million pieces made. Sounds common, right? That's what makes this so sneaky. Because while the average circulated Monroe coin is worth $1 or $2, a few extremely rare errors turn this coin into a six-figure shocker. Here's where it gets crazy. Several Monroe dollars were discovered with inverted edge lettering, meaning the edge inscriptions like the year, mint mark, and motto pluribus unum were struck upside down compared to the obverse. Still legal tender, but collectors go wild for them. These versions, even in poor condition, have sold for $3,000 to $6,000. But let's go deeper. A small batch of Monroe dollars were struck with a horrifying error, missing edge lettering altogether, no date, no motto, no mint mark. These so-called godless dollars became a nationwide controversy. People thought the U.S. Mint had removed "In God We Trust" on purpose. The media exploded. Demand skyrocketed. One of these Monroe godless coins, even in worn, circulated condition, sold for $11,500. But wait, there's a ghost in the machine. An even rarer version of this coin was discovered with double-edge lettering, but not just anywhere. The inscriptions overlapped and were completely misaligned. Think about that. A double-stamped edge where the text is jumbled, shifted, and partially mirrored. Fewer than 3 confirmed examples of this exist for Monroe dollars. And the last time one appeared at auction, it was scratched, dented, even discolored. Final sale price? $278,000. Yes. For a coin in bad condition that most people would have tossed into a vending machine or ignored completely. Even more chilling, another Monroe dollar was found struck on the wrong planchet, a Sacagawea dollar blank. That tiny mix-up during minting resulted in a thicker, heavier edge and a strange golden hue. The coin was misaligned and had a visible clip on the rim. The price it fetched at private auction? $192,000.so. What's the takeaway here? Condition doesn't always kill value. Not with error coins. Not with freak mint anomalies. Sometimes, the very coins we overlook, the beat up, worn down, nearly invisible ones, are the ones collectors would pay a small fortune for. So if you've got a James Monroe dollar in bad shape, look closer. Check the edge. Is the text missing? Is it upside down? Is it double stamped or overlapping? Even in this condition, you could be staring at a life-changing mistake from the U.S. Mint. And the best part, these coins are still out there, still hiding, in drawers, jars, glove compartments, maybe even in your house right now. Finally, we've reached a coin that may look plain, even a little rough around the edges, but trust me when I say this. The 2000D Sacagawea dollar is no ordinary pocket change. In fact, one version of this exact coin found in bad circulated condition shocked the numismatic world when it crossed the auction block for a price so staggering. People are still talking about it today. Let's break it down. This is the coin that launched an entire era. The very first year of the Sacagawea dollar, released in 2000, was meant to modernize U.S. coinage with bold symbolism and innovation. On the obverse, Sacagawea is shown in soft relief, her infant son resting peacefully on her back. Her eyes gaze into the distance, a symbol of hope, bravery, and resilience. It's one of the most beautiful modern U.S. coin designs, period. The reverse shows a soaring eagle in flight, strong, free, encircled by stars. But while the design was beautiful, many Americans ignored the coin. It didn't catch on in everyday use. Millions sat unused in vaults, banks, and change drawers. Now, the 2000D struck at the Denver Mint saw massive production numbers. Over 500 million were minted. So you might be thinking, how could this be rare, especially in bad condition? Well, here comes the twist. Because one single mistake at the U.S. Mint turned this common coin into a six-figure phenomenon. In the year 2000, a small batch believed to be fewer than 20 coins were mistakenly struck using a Washington statehood quarter obverse die and the Sacagawea dollar reverse. That's right, the obverse shows George Washington from a quarter, and the reverse shows the eagle from the Sacagawea dollar. A freak accident. An impossible pairing, a true mule error, and one of the most valuable coin errors in U.S. history. The first one found was pulled from a routine coin roll by a vending machine operator in Arkansas. His cost? $1. Its value? $29,000. But it didn't stop there. As more of these mule errors surfaced, most of them found in bad or circulated condition, with scratches, edge wear, and surface nicks, the price kept climbing. One of the latest examples sold at Heritage auctions for an earth-shattering $192,000, and that was for a coin with visible handling marks, discoloration, and circulation wear. Let me say that again, $192,000. For a coin most people would have overlooked, tossed into a drawer, or used at a laundromat. And it gets better. One unique 2000D Sacagawea mule error was found with an off-center strike, where the two designs didn't align properly. That coin scratched, off-center, and technically damaged, still sold for $227,000. That's the kind of value that makes your jaw drop. But wait, there's more. Even regular 2000D Sacagawea dollars with smaller minting flaws can fetch thousands. A coin with a struck-through grease error where the die was clogged, causing parts of the design to vanish, sold for $3,500, despite being well worn. Another with a die clash where the reverse design ghosted through to the obverse, fetched over $5,000. So what's the big lesson here? Condition isn't everything, not when it comes to minting mistakes. A coin like this, even in poor shape, can be worth more than a brand new car, a luxury vacation, even a down payment on a house. And the best part, these mules and errors were never meant to exist. They weren't announced. They weren't documented. They escaped the mint by accident, and they're still out there. So, if you've got a 2000D Sacagawea dollar, especially one that looks off, weird, or just not quite right, don't dismiss it. Don't spend it. Don't toss it in a jar. Inspect it. Flip it. Examine every detail, because that dull, beat-up dollar in your hand could be the next one to bring a life-changing payday.